Hi, I'm Chris Vinnicombe and this is episode 5 of The Gear Show, from the people behind Guitarist, Total Guitar and Guitar Techniques magazines and musicradar.com. This month we talk to sideman and producer to the Stars Paul Stacey, Mick Taylor checks out some beautiful Martin authentic acoustics, we find out what's in store at GAK in Brighton, Mike Sullivan from Russian Circles reveals all about his Les Paul Custom, we check out the BluGuitar AMP1, and just in time for Christmas we've got a shootout between some stocking filling mini amps. First up, here's me with a trio of new Fender Classic Player electrics. Hi, this is Chris from Guitarist and I'm here with a trio of new Fender Classic Player electrics. All three models were designed in a custom shop in Corona by master builders and then manufactured across the border in Mexico. The triple telly features a trio of no-caster bridge pickups. The Strat HH's wide-range special humbuckers and big headstock give it a 70s flavour. And finally, the Baja 60s telly looks every inch a standard 60s Telecaster, but some clever switching options give you some cool extra in series and out of phase tones. First you'll hear each guitar in isolation as we cycle through the pickup selections, and then you'll hear all three in the context of a full track. A tiny battery-powered micro-amp is a great practice tool for any guitarist. Here's Total Guitar's roundup of some of the best available, including the brand new Fly from Blackstar.
As well as looking good on your bookshelf, microamps are easy to sling in your backpack and remain popular among guitarists for low-volume practicing on the move. With a number of renowned amp brands getting in on the act, we've rounded up 4 of the main contenders: the Marshall MS2, Orange Micro Crush Picks, Blackstar Fly 3, and Fender Mini 57 Twin Amp. First, we'll show you a few clean tones from each amp, followed by dirty sounds and any additional features. We're micing the amps using a Groove Tubes condenser mic, and playing a Fender reclaimed old-growth Redwood Stratocaster with a humbucker in the bridge position.
Next, we head over to GAK in Brighton to find out what's in store.
Hi, it's Mark from gak.co.uk, and once again I'm here in our Brighton store with Matt to talk about another crazy pedal that he has selected to show you this month. Matt, what have we got?
Well, I love delay. It's probably my favourite effect. And TC Electronic have decided to put 3 in one box, but not 3 presets, 3 actual delays. This is the Flashback triple delay, and unlike any other kind of delay unit that's got like 3 buttons or 4 buttons for presets, this allows you to have all 3 on at once.
Okay.
Which sounds like a weird concept, but actually it is really usable. So effectively you've got the same sort of controls that you had on the other one. So stereo in, stereo out, and the expression pedal plus the MIDI. And you've still got the USB and the 4 tone sort of presets, the tone prints that you can put on there. And then you've got all the normal sounds that you've got on the normal Flashback and the X4. So you can set 3 different delays on here, and you can edit them just with the little micro switch here. Then you can run them in series or in parallel, so they can run one into the other, or they can run all the same time. And they've actually got a whole series of subdivisions that you haven't been able to get before. So like loads of crazy sort of different divisions, so you can kind of get some weird mixed sounds on that. But what I've found is that, you know, especially if you're into maybe like ambient stuff or, you know, things like that, you can have a really long delay on there. It can give you like an ambient wash of delays on there, but you can then have like a slapback on there and then maybe a longer lead delay on there. So you can, you know, you can mix and match. It's really nice, and that, actually once you've messed around with it for a bit, it sort of starts to make a bit sense. At first you're like, well, you know, would I do that? But actually once you've messed around with 2 different delays on at once, because that means you can have an analog delay and a digital delay, or you can have something with loads of modulation and a tape echo with loads of repeats. And, you know, when you start splitting out in stereo and you get a really wide pan as well, it just sounds amazing.
So I guess perfect for someone who, for example, uses 3 different delay pedals on their board, but altogether wants to save a bit of space. I guess this would do that. It's probably smaller than 3 delay pedals.
Yeah, I think the thing is you see a lot of people out there who have got more than 1 delay pedal on their board, and this means that you can kind of get it all on there, and you've got easy access to all the switches. It's easy to save because you just tap and hold, and you've got onboard tap tempo. But it's nice actually being able to run them in parallel, because then you get 3 like awesome sounding delays all coming out at the same time. So, because obviously with series, you've got to be kind of careful that you don't kind of make it sound like one big muddy mess. So switching it in parallel means that they all kind of work together at the same time and then just come out of there. And then with the expression pedal, just means that you can control parameters on all of those at the same time.
Sure. Well, Matt's going to plug it in, and if you're into delays, this should be a pretty exciting demo. So keep with us and you'll hear how it sounds.
As a sought-after producer and sideman, Paul Stacey has worked with the likes of the Black Crowes and Oasis. Let's find out a little bit more about him.
The last 15 years I've been a producer and I suppose engineer and mixer. But before that I used to be, mainly I was just playing guitar and then a bit of piano. Well, I go and do sessions and some couple of producers just said, oh, you should be a producer because you just can't keep your mouth shut and you just play and shut up, But I didn't.
There's a sensation when you listen to you play that you are completely exposed, and completely in the moment. You're not hiding behind a bunch of licks that you've learnt. It is purely about the moment.
When it's working, is what I'm doing is I'm running off the end of a board, of a diving board, and I'm just going, out. And you just learn these things, you prepare, and then, for me, I have to pretend I don't know anything and just dive. If you're playing with one guitar in a loud rock band, let's say, you can just have a really loud system, and I use a high watt and a Laney supergroup. That's my favourite combination, those two together. And I always like to use 2 amps at once. And usually it's one for top and bottom and one for middle. And if it's a more of a sort of like jazz thing that I'm doing, then it will be that the middle is clean and quick and the top and bottom are airy, so polytone Fender kind of thing. And then with playing with a more rock outfit, if you like, it would be high watt and Laney. But that's too loud for a lot of places. So, I've been trying to find pedals that will do what I want. I think you should be able to play without pedals, but then I like lots of different sounds. And on my pedal board, I've got a lot of pedals, but I rarely have more than 2 or 3 on at the same time, probably just 1 or 2. The thoughts of ever going back to any sort of, which I was thinking about, is going back to some more rack-like devices is not necessary anymore.
Thomas Blug knows a thing or two about great guitar tone, and he's been instrumental in the development of the AMP1, a 100-watt head the same size as a stomp box. Here, Michael Brown puts it through its paces.
Hi, it's Michael from Guitarist, and this is the BluGuitar AMP1, a 100-watt head that's the size of a stomp box. In this demo, we'll show you a few tones from each of the channels, and then demonstrate the sounds in the context of a full track. We're playing a McPherson Nomad.
Next up, Mike Sullivan from Instrumental Rockers Russian Circles reveals all in Me and My Guitar.
I'm Mike. I play with Russian Circles, and this is one of my favorite guitars. It's a 1985 Les Paul Custom. I traded a few guitars for it. A friend of mine runs a shop, Rock and Roll Vintage, in Chicago. A ton of good gear there. I went there to try a pedal out. I grabbed a guitar off the wall, and it was this one. And I was like, "Crap! I didn't come here for a guitar. This was not in the cards today." But yeah, so I fell in love with it. It sounded great, and yeah, so I ended up bringing guitars in later for it actually to trade towards this. But yeah, there's something about it. It really resonates. It's got a lot of sustain to it. Just something about a guitar. It's been played and I don't know, worked. It's been through the ringer. It's been beat to hell, but for some reason it just sings more than other guitars. But yeah, I brought it on tour, and I brought it on a winter tour. I was worried about there's a big seam crack here. I thought that it should be fine, but sure enough, day 2 of winter tour, it was double the size, and then there's some finished cracks, but the checking started going crazy, and the whole thing now looks like it's just been through a war zone. But yeah, it's now my favorite guitar, and it's my go-to for playing at home or at the practice space or on tour. But yeah, I couldn't be happier with it. Now I'm kind of seeking out more of this era and this finish. The finish, I can't say it has any kind of effect on the tone, but who knows? You never know with these weird Gibsons and how they age. But yeah, I'm really happy with the guitar. It's, I don't know, quickly a favorite. Yeah, I replaced the pickups. It's all original besides the pickups. I put in 2 Gibson Dirty Fingers, and that allows for the heavier tones, like the saturated distortion. It really cuts through with articulation. Then also when it's clean, it can really be loud without being too muddy or breaking up. So it does best of both. It's surprisingly, these pickups don't get enough credit for how good they sound clean. And even when you split them on some guitars, that have a splitter or whatever, or a tap also. That sounds great too. But yeah, I think they're great pickups. I'm actually glad that Gibson is reissuing them and doing them again, because they don't get enough praise for how good they are. There's a stigma with them. They're metal only, but they do it all, I feel like, despite their makeup and what they're made of. I've tried out many pickups, and I love these. So, but them in here, these pickups, this guitar, I couldn't be happier with it. So it's worked out well.
Hello, it's Mark from gak.co.uk, and I'm here in our Brighton store with Matt to talk about what he's been playing this month. Matt, looks like you've got a stunning Telecaster for us. What have you got?
I have got one of the few guitars that made it into Europe. This was a limited run built for American dealers who were taking part in the Fender Custom Shop Roadshow.
Sure.
This is a custom designed 64 super heavy Relic telly. As you can see, there's more.
It's pretty beaten up.
It's pretty beaten up, which is cool, and it's got some nice things like the wear around the ashtray cover on there as well. So nice little touches like that. But just a really nice, well-designed 64 telly. Obviously, a nice thing about having a heavy Relic is you've got the satin back, so it feels really nice. But features that you'd get on a 60s guitar. So rosewood board, laminate rather than slab. You've then got custom design hand wound pickups in there as well, so it's a really authentic guitar. But there is a fair bit of mojo about this. I'd say we were plugging it in just before we started filming, and it's just got a really nice sound to it, really nice vibe. Just a really class telly.
Worth mentioning as well the L series serial number, which is a kind of throwback to the original Fender serial numbers. Is that right?
Yes, that's right. Yeah, it's 64. A lot of people were saying, "Oh, it's such a it seems like a bizarre year when so many people rave about 56 or 61." But some of the sort of mid 60s stuff was incredibly popular and obviously a really well built guitar. And yeah, they were the L serial numbers, so they've kind of gone back to that as well. So yeah, these are I suppose they call this the L series 64 super heavy Relic telly. And then and it's just in that really nice, vintage white. But all that playing wear, I don't know, it just gives it a real nice vibe.
Yeah, excellent. All right, Matt's going to plug it in and go through a few sounds, and so you can have a listen and see how it sounds.
Next, Mick Taylor takes a break from his exhausting schedule of moustache growing to check out some beautiful Martin Authentic guitars in a lovely studio.
Hi, Mick here from Guitarist, and welcome to Gauble Sound Studios here in Glasgow. We're here today to check out a range of guitars from Martin called Authentic, a premium series designed to recreate some of the key guitars from the fabled pre-war period. So the Authentic series goes beyond mere vintage styling into more exacting detail. Martin examined many of its original guitars from the company's own museum in Nazareth, Pennsylvania. Then, using techniques including MRI scanning, the Martin team was able to piece together all of those tiny little details from those key vintage guitars to make them anew. So we're talking about Martin Custom Shop, premium materials, hide glues, exacting vintage spec as far as the law will allow. While that whole process is interesting in itself as a feat of skill and creativity, the bigger picture perhaps is that this handful of guitars tells a huge part of the story of the early development of the steel string flat top acoustic guitar itself. Having them all in one place is a unique opportunity. Of course, those original 1920s, 30s and 40s guitars are way out of reach for most of us, locked away in museums and private collections. It's a real treat to see guitars made exactly as they were then, made now. It gives us a little insight into perhaps what those guitars may have been like when they're new, and of course speculate about how they'll improve and age over the next 50, 100 years. So given that these guitars are a little bit special, we've come to this very special place and treated them to some very serious audio gear. Gauble Sound Studios has a very nice collection of Neumann mics. That is a proper Neve desk. So what you're about to hear is a few sound samples so you can compare the guitars and make your own mind up about how they sound. So this is the D28 Authentic 1931. It has a solid Adirondack spruce top and solid Madagascar rosewood back and sides. This one is the D28 Authentic 1937. Again, it's got a solid Adirondack spruce top and solid Madagascar rosewood back and sides. This is the D18 Authentic 1939. It's got a solid Adirondack spruce top and solid genuine mahogany back and sides. This is the D28 Authentic 1941. Once again, it's got a solid Adirondack spruce top and solid Madagascar rosewood back and sides. It's not only dreadnoughts in the Authentic line, here we have a stunning all-Koa 000 28K Authentic 1921. And our last guitar today is the OM18 Authentic 1933. Solid Adirondack spruce top, solid genuine mahogany back and sides. It's been genuinely fascinating coming here today and playing these premium guitars side by side. It's not often that you get to play so many high-end guitars, A, B, C, D, one after the other and recorded in such a fantastic place. Listening back to the audio, you pick out some of the very small nuances between the dreadnoughts, which, while not massively different in spec, do sound and feel quite different. The small body guitars are a delight, particularly the Koa 00028. I think if I left here today with one guitar, it would be that. No doubt you'll have your own favourite too. Enjoy.
I'm afraid that's all we've got time for. Join us next month for more guitar goodness from the people behind Guitarist, Total Guitar and Guitar Techniques magazines and musicradar.com.